everyone, and welcome to a special live episode of the Present Poetry Podcast. This week, we have the honor of interviewing Garnett Rogers. Garnett Rogers Sr. is a luminary in the world of poetry and is renowned for his evocative verses that illuminate the human condition. Born in Sacramento, California, to humble beginnings, Garnett's journey from a small city to literary prominence is as captivating as his words. His poetry, deeply rooted in personal experiences and observations, resonates with authenticity and raw emotion. Through his mastery of language and keen insight, Garnett Rogers explores themes of identity, resilience, and the universal quest for meaning. His work serves as a beacon of inspiration, inviting readers to contemplate life's complexities with compassion and clarity. And we are thrilled to have him on the podcast with us today. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm just glad that we're both on the same schedule. We're going to have a lot of fun.
I think so. I always enjoy these interviews.
Okay. Give me that. Okay. I have found the designated spot to pull over, and I am ready.
Very nice. Well, again, it is a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Okay. Thank you. I gladly appreciate it.
Now, I am going to start you off with a question that I ask everybody, which is,
okay,
how did you get into poetry?
Poetry has been a thing for me ever since I was young, 12, 13 years old. I actually used to write poetry and I used to draw at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a little cool element going too.
Yeah, I had a cool element going. I write the poem and then I draw a picture about the poem. And the kids started making fun of me, so I put it away. I put it away and locked it in the closet and said, hey, I will never do this again because they made so much fun of me. So 12, 13 years old is when I started writing poetry.
Okay. That's a good age for poetry. And that's tragic that the kids were so mean to you. Kids are terrible at that age.
Yeah. I had a lot to talk about too. Like I said, I lived in a single family home. There was a lot of gang violence going on. There was a lot of drug selling going on. There was a lot of domestic violence going on. So I had a lot to write about. There was trauma every day.
I'm sure it sounds like it. So would you say that you used your poetry as a coping mechanism?
Yes, I did. And, it was therapy. It was an outlet for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. It took me somewhere else. It took me to another place when I wrote my poetry.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense because, poetry is a very cathartic medium because you can get all of your emotions down and it gives it kind of a way to talk back to you in a sense.
Yes. And journaling, journaling kind of went hand in hand with the poetry too, because the journaling helped me come up with like different topics and different themes and whatnot for my poems as well.
Okay.
So journaling helped a lot too.
Okay, so you just used writing across the board then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Your main medium was poetry?
Yes.
Okay. That actually leads me into my next question is what inspires you now? I know it said in your bio that you do a lot of personal experiences and personal reflections. Is that still kind of where your poetry lays in that personality?
Well, I pretty much look at myself as a beacon for all the poets out there. When I did get back into the poetry in my late 20s, 28, 29, when I got back into my poetry, a lot of people said that, I wouldn't be able to write a book. There was a lot of doubt. lot of doubters, a lot of dream killers that came against me. So a lot of people told me that one, I wouldn't write the book. Two, I wouldn't make any money from poetry and whatnot. So I'm just on this journey. I'm just on this quest to show people that that poetry is a niche. Um, Poetry is something that you can make a living from. You just got to be a little bit more creative with it versus jazz, R&B, reggae, rap. I mean hip hop or whatever you want to call it. You just have to be a little bit more creative with it, but it can work. So that's where I'm at right now. That's the journey where I'm at. I hope I answered the question, but that's where the journey I'm at. I'm the beacon. I'm the forefront. I'm just standing up and representing all the poets with my right or left fist up, if you can see it. And I'm saying we can do this together. You know, we can make an impact, and we're not gonna let no one stop us. We're not gonna let no one tell us that we can't. It's always I can, I will, and I must.
I love that personally because I also write poetry, and I know from experience that it is a very underappreciated and underrepresented art.
Yes, it is. And it's always been like that. It's always been like that. Ever since I can remember, it's always been like that. And the time has come for it to change.
I
Time has
agree.
come for us to be recognized. You know, it's time for us to walk on a red carpet like all the other entertainers do. It's time for poets to walk on a red carpet. Our time is long overdue, and
I
it's coming.
agree. a hundred
It is
percent.
coming.
And we need
You
strong
know.
voices like yours to lead the charge because some of us, like,
Yeah.
we're there as background support, but we
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah. Yes. You
And
you're with me.
that's
You
kind of what
you
this podcast is all about, is I'm giving a voice to the poets that may not have a platform to speak on.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it.
But like
Well,
you,
you know.
I agree that we need a change. We need to bring poetry back to the forefront of the creative world.
Yeah. And did you ever catch America's Got Talent a couple years ago with the poet on there that won?
No, I
Brian Lee? Yeah, there was a poet that won America's Got Talent. He was
really,
from right here from Northern California. His name is Brian Leaks.
I did not know that. I'll have to look up that episode.
You gotta look that up. He won America's Got Talent for poetry. He won it.
Well,
So that
that's
shows you
fantastic,
right
and
there
that's a
that it
huge
can be
step.
done. Yes. A couple years ago, I think about 5 years, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, Brian Leaks.
Brian Leach, I will look that up. My next question for you is, how do you handle writer's block? We all get it, we all know it. What do you personally do to get out of that creative slump?
I leave it alone for a minute.
Leave it
I
alone?
leave, I leave it alone for a minute. I marinate on it. I think about something that's pleasant. I do something that's fun. Um, Sometimes I meditate,
Mm-hmm.
and within an hour, I'm back. So that's really my strategy. I just walk away from it. I don't force it. I don't look to squeeze something in there. I just let it happen. And that's my recommendation. That's my advice I would give to any writer on, let it breathe. Leave it alone.
And that's great advice because
Yeah.
sometimes you can't force the issue. You got to leave it alone.
No. No. You gotta just put the pen or the pencil down for a little while and just let it rest. Sometimes it might even go an extra day, but it's okay because you know that when you do come back to it, you're gonna come back with something that's powerful. So
Mhm.
I've even let it go for a whole day, for the rest of the day, and not touched it. 2 days.
Walk away from it and leave it alone.
Yeah. Walked away and leave it alone.
That's
You
good
know?
advice. And I know writers of all ages and stages, like, writing block is one of the worst. So,
Yes, it
and
is.
everyone tries to force the issue, especially if you're on a deadline. But
Yeah.
I agree. I think sometimes you got to put it down. You got to let it breathe a little bit and figure out what it wants to be.
Yep. Exactly.
Do you have any kind of writing routine or any kind of writing ritual that you like to do before you get into the craft?
Uh, Sometimes I like to watch a movie.
Welcome.
Um, Sometimes I like to think about a past situation, a quote that I ran across, um, something that someone's told me. Those are some of the things that really sometimes sparks a poem to come out. You
Okay.
know, that sparks a poem to come out of me. Pretty much. Or sometimes it just, like I said, sometimes it just comes upon me. Um, I'll have like half of the poem already in my head. I just need to hurry up and just get it down on paper.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then come up with the other half.
I know that feeling.
So
And sometimes it's even days after that first half is there that you come up with the other half.
yeah, so you just never know. But that's the beautiful thing about poetry. You just never know how the poem is gonna come about.
Hmm.
You know, you never know how the poem is gonna come about, but you are ready to embrace it. You are ready to write it, and after you're done with it, looking at it after the finished product, you're like, wow, this was amazing. I mean, this just came from nowhere, and now look at it; it's an actual poem. So the creative process is one of the most beautiful things that writers, I feel that they need to emphasize more on and don't talk about, because that takes a lot in itself. Just getting ready mentally, mentally getting ready to write. People really don't talk too much about that, but the getting started part can be the most hardest can be the most toughest part of writing a poem. Just getting started, sort of like a workout. You know, you're all good once you get started working out, but mind wise, meditation, mindset, getting ready to work out is the most hardest part. And that same thing is writing a poem, just getting started. Because I don't know if you know, I don't know if this probably happened to you. There's a lot of distractions that come up when you're ready to write that poem.
Oh,
When you
yes.
got it and it's there and you're ready to write it, there's a lot of distractions that come up. So that's what I was saying earlier to you. Mindset wise, you have to really be locked in. You have to really be focused, and you have to really push yourself to say, hey, forget about everything else that's going on. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get started on this poem no matter what. Because if you keep saying I'm going to get around to it, what I've learned is you'll never get around to it.
Hmm. You can't keep pushing it back. You got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. And you got to tell yourself, do it now. Do it now.
Don't worry about what the internet's doing. Don't worry about what kids are doing. Just get it on
No.
paper.
Yes.
If you have any poems that you would like to share with us.
Yes, I would like to share. I would always love to share a poem.
Okay. Well, we have
Yeah,
time.
let me.
Love them.
Okay, let me go on and grab one.
Okay.
And this is one of the hardest parts, because you know you love every last one of them.
Hmm. I know
So
I'm asking you to pick a favorite child, but we only have
yeah,
time for a couple of them.
so you got to go on and pick and say, hey, this the one that I'm going to choose. All right, I'm going to go with these two.
Okay.
All right, one's about my take on COVID-19.
Okay.
Some people were like, take the vaccine. Others were like, no, I'm not taking the vaccine. I don't trust it. I've seen what happened to people that have taken the vaccine. So it was 50-50. Um, and this one that I just put my take on it. I got a mixed crowd on it, but sometimes your poetry is not going to resonate with everybody.
That's true.
You know, like I know. You know, some people are
I know.
going to be like, yay. Some people are like, nah. So, all right.
Okay.
This one's entitled The Fine Print.
Fine print.
They told you to wear a face mask. You did it. You were scared like the world was. I get it. They told you it was your turn. You did it. You get a free flat screen afterwards. You did it. I get it. Did they tell you that your DNA would change? That you could never give blood ever again? Sometimes you got to read between the lines. Bill Gates don't care about us, and it ain't in God we trust. The plan is, I guess, is how can I get away with killing 1 billion people? When my people wake up and use at least 2 parts of their brain, Pfizer and FEMA, they're both the same. Same tactics they used in Katrina, different approach, same game plan. Sometimes you got to read between the lines. The world stood in line to get the shot. Church folks stood in line to get the shot. God said, be patient and resist. Don't you know that I can heal the land with the flick of the wrist? But you turn from what the Lord said because Steph Curry said, it's your turn. LeBron James said, it's your turn. Kevin Hart said, it's your turn. But sometimes you got to read between the lines. Fine print. Read the fine print.
Wow.
That's it.
I like that. That
Thank
was
you.
really good.
Thank you.
And it hit a lot of good key points. Like there were a lot of just controversy around the whole thing.
Yes, it was.
You have to
Yes, it
read the
was.
fine print.
Yes, you do. People were just like sheep led to the slide. Like, okay, I'm like, hey, we need to investigate this a little more. They're just coming up talking about they got this, you know. But what really, you know, really irked me and whatnot is that they actually forced the healthcare workers. If you notice that they actually forced our healthcare workers to actually take the shot. It was either take the shot or be unemployed.
Mm-hmm. I did
You
know
know,
that. I did.
and that was very wrong for them to do that. You know, they actually forced them and said you have to take it or you will be out of a job. You know, that was very sad and that was wrong. So the second one is I witnessed a lot of police brutality on TV, in person. I've been part of police brutality. But this one right here really touched me, really hurt me to the core. I actually almost walked out of my job. It was so bad.
Wow.
This was a young man. And the sad thing about it, it was Black police officers that killed him. That's
Oh,
what shocked me and hit so hard.
yeah.
It was 5 Black officers that actually beat him to death. About 5 houses down from where he lived at.
Wow.
And he was calling for his mother. Tyrese Nichols, that was the name. Tyrese Nichols. I think you heard about it.
I believe I did. It sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
it was in Memphis, Tennessee. It happened in Memphis, Tennessee. He actually was from Sacramento. We have a painting on the wall here in downtown Sacramento. He was from Sacramento. He left the daughter behind, but we have a mural that we painted on the wall here in Sacramento for him because he was from Sacramento. He was actually from Sacramento. His mother stayed in Memphis, so he transferred from FedEx here in Sacramento down to Memphis to go out there and stay with his mother, change the scenery, just to change the lifestyle. And he was down there working at FedEx down there in Memphis. and they end up taking his life over something pointless, and it was all caught on camera. And they really enjoyed what they was doing to this young man, and they just beat him to death. Um, Paramedics took about an hour to get there. Didn't really want to admit, treatment to him, give him care.
Right.
So being cold with all those open wounds and whatnot was very bad for him. So by the time they did get him to the hospital, it was pretty much too late. He lasted about 2 or 3 days, and then after that he was gone. So this one I call My Father Forgives, because we have to forgive those police officers and release them, because the Bible says, forgive them for they not know what they've done. This is
Right.
what he said on the cross. Forgive them for they not know what they've done. So us as people, we have to say the same thing. Forgive them for they not know what they have done, and release them. So this piece is called My Father Forgives.
My Father forgives.
Crooked cops take me in a dark alley. They say to teach that boy a lesson. Everyone gets hit with a black stick. They call it dirty dancing. It's all good when the black man gets what he deserves for resisting arrest and giving us physical contact. But Yeshua said, I have to forgive the police for Tyreek. With my kind in the jungle, police don't even take warning shots. Close range, chest shots. He's in handcuffs. I wonder why his heart stopped. When you saw Kaepernick bending down on one knee, but do you know what it feels like at night when you go to sleep, knowing that the cops killed one of your seeds? But Yeshua said, I have to forgive the police for Tyreek. Mamas are crying in silence. The devil loves the violence. Kids on the block still dialing. Under oath, police still lying. Telling the public they sorry for the lying. Tyree Nichols, gone way too soon. When we gonna put another brother on the moon? But God said, I have to forgive the police for Tyreek's. My Father forgives. My Father forgives.
Wow. That one was incredible. And it like I'm gonna be straight with you. I have no idea what that kind of stigma feels like. And
Yes.
you have captured it beautifully and
Thank
powerfully in
you.
those words.
Thank you. Thank you. And
And
like I said, it just is. Yeah, and like I said, my thing is, we talk about the slavery, we talk about what happened to us, but we don't talk about a lot of people. This is what we don't talk about in history, and we should include it. We don't talk about a lot of Caucasian people that helped out the slaves.
mhm,
We don't bring that up. We need to talk about that. That needs to be included in Black history, about all the Caucasian people that hid slaves out in their house, that helped slaves get up north, that fed them, that clothed them and loved on them just like a regular person and didn't see color. We don't talk about that. And
we
that needs
don't.
to be included that needs to be included in Black history. That needs to be included in history,
I
about all
agree.
the Caucasian people that helped slaves and didn't go by color and stood up for it and said it was wrong. And we're not going to join in with it. It's wrong. And we are going to be some of the people that are going to be against it, and we are going to be some of the people that help get rid of it. Needs to be talked about.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So
And
yeah, so
poems
I just
like
put that in
yours
there.
are going to be the catalyst for that because
Yes.
you are writing poems and you are seeing this from a completely different point of view than someone
Yes.
like me would see it.
Yes.
And your voice is what's going to change things. I fully believe that, especially after hearing your works. Like you have such a way with words. And I can see now why you want to be the beacon because I feel
Yeah.
like you're able to.
Yes. Yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Like I said, I give God all the glory for being a wordsmith. I don't take any credit. And like I said, I just speak with power. Like I said, I'm representing millions and billions of poets. So I just speak with power and I speak with authority, because we need to be heard. And we're not like I said, we're hollering, we're speaking, we're yelling, and we're not going away, and we're going to be heard. We're
As
going to be heard.
as you should be.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so I wanted to ask
Okay.
you one final question. Is there
Okay.
anything that you would like to say to the listeners of this episode?
What I will say to the listeners of this episode is, first and foremost, thank you for jumping on your podcast. You could have been doing anything today on Friday. I appreciate you tuning in, listening. Continue to tune in with this poetry. With this podcast, because we are lifting poets up. We are putting them on the pedestal that they deserve to be on. And if you are a poet, I'm ready for you to come forth. I'm ready for you to get on this podcast, and I'm ready for you to stand up and be heard, because we want to listen, and you owe it to the world to showcase your gift, because if you don't, you will be committing a spiritual sin. You are not allowed to leave here without showcasing your gift and no one knowing what you did. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Hallelujah. I agree.
If you don't showcase God's talent that he gave you, you are committing a spiritual gift. It's in the Bible. I'm just quoting from the Bible. It's a spiritual sin. You are commanded to showcase your gift before you leave here.
And I will definitely do my part in making sure they do. And
Amen.
sure that I do.
Amen.
So,
keep it going. I appreciate you. Thank you. And let's continue to influence the masses.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Present Poetry Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to like us, leave a review, or share us on social media. If you are a poet or you know someone who is, we would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us or submit your work through our website, which is www.present-poetry.com. Again, that is www.present-poetry.com. We can't wait to hear from you.